What is up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Redd, and this is another edition of the In the Dungeon Show. I want to thank you for joining me in conversation. It's good to have a diversion while looking at the world of sports. So many other things in life that are very topical in our minds, and if it has an intersection with sports, we will talk about it. So we got a full show. A lot of good things I want to talk about that I'm sure you'll be happy about, and maybe we can find some some valuable information and conversation that we can apply to our lives as well. Looking forward to that. But we got a big show, though. It's a lot to talk about. The San Francisco 49ers won today against the New Orleans Saints, 26-21, and now 2-0 to take on the Arizona Cardinals next week at Levi. And they're starting to look like the teams that were perennial playoff participants and were Super Bowl entries quite a bit in the past. For the past couple of years, not so much. But this team, I think, is more balanced than we've seen in a while. Offensively, as long as you got a decent quarterback, I think that they can win. Certainly, Mac Jones, I'm not going to compare him to Brock Purdy because he's not Brock Purdy, but he's a starter in this league. Maybe not a perennial starter, but I think you put Mac Jones on a team that has good infrastructure, good coaching, and he can win. He got beat down in New England because they were terrible, and then he went to Jacksonville, and they were terrible. Now he's in a structured environment with the 49ers, and it's unfortunate that Brock Purdy got hurt, but it opened the door for Mac Jones to come in and I think start to build his resume in ways that Sam Darnold was able to do, and that led to his success. And I think you're going to see Mac Jones ultimately start for another NFL team. He was awesome today. 26 for 39, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns. Got sacked a couple of times, but he played good football. A lot of the anxiety that we were feeling around Christian McCaffrey is starting to subside a little bit. Every week we see him looking more and more like himself. We stopped thinking about him getting hurt. He was solid today. 13 carries, 59 yards, 6 catches for 52. What's really impressive to me about him is that, some running backs can catch, and you say to yourself, he plays like a wide receiver. Christian McCaffrey is a wide receiver when he goes out into, the passing game. He catch difficult passes. He gets yak after the catch. A very, very valuable player. So that speaks volumes. The defense of the 49ers, I would say they're playing better than most of us thought. I thought they'd be better simply because Robert Saleh is a defensive coordinator. And people like to think that coaching doesn't matter. It matters. Schematically, he's putting those guys in a position where they can be successful. And he's developing players, holding them accountable in practice. And I think when you are a player and you want to please your coach, even as an adult, you go out there and you play harder. You're more mentally focused. And that's what the 49ers are doing now. They're making very few mistakes, and they're playing good, fundamental football. I love it. Mikael Williams, the rookie out of Georgia, I thought he had a pretty good game today. Huff that they got from Philly, he's bending off the edge. And Bosa is now seemingly free to play one-on-one against most offensive linemen. And when that happens, when he's not being double-teamed, this guy is still a top-flight player. And he was awesome today. So a lot of good things are happening with the 49ers. We can talk about that. They take on a dangerous team in Arizona next week at home, but a team that they should beat. All right. Last year, the 49ers found a way to lose games. This year, they're playing smart football. D. Winters looks like an all-pro. Where did that come from? I don't think we saw that coming. we thought he might be pretty good, but he's better than good. This guy's playing like he's one of the top linebackers in the NFC and maybe in football in general. So I'm happy to see that he's taking the opportunity that he has now and he's running with it. The Golden State Valkaries are the best story in the WNBA. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw today and they lost 101-72. Not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it. You want to talk about the Valkyries? We can. I mean, they've been awesome this year. Coach of the year, most improved player, rookie all-star. It's awesome. The only downer that I see with the Valkyries is they're not going to play their home game in Ball Hollow. They have to play down in San Jose. SAP is a nice arena. You know, they'll do fine. I'm sure their fans will make the trek down there. But it's not Chase, and it's certainly not Oakland either. If they could not play at Chase, I would have loved to see them play in Oakland. But let's not pour milk on their parade. I don't know if that's an analogy or not, but the Valkyries have done incredible things this year. Good for them. The Golden State Warriors are being discussed again and making, I don't know if they're making any noise, but they're in our consciousness because of what transpired last week when the Chicago Bulls, I don't think they wilted. I think they ultimately decided that Josh Giddey deserved the contract that he ultimately signed. 4 years, $100 million. The Warriors, I don't think are going to offer that contract to Jonathan Kuminga, and that's fine. If I was Jonathan Kuminga, in spite of, you know, I don't think it's toxic. I don't think he and Kerr have a toxic relationship. They clearly don't see basketball the same way. All right, but I don't think it's toxic. If the Warriors somehow, some way decided that they wanted to offer Jonathan Kuminga a 4-year deal for $100 million, he would be a fool not to sign him. You know, he's not going to have that option, I don't think, because I think the Warriors are locked in, even if it hurts them. But if they offered him a contract for $100 million, nobody in their right mind turns down that money. Nobody. And I'm saying this thinking that, you know, every year you think it's one less year that Kerr's going to be there. As long as Stephen Curry is there, Kerr's going to be there. Okay? I don't know many jobs that you can make $17 million a year legally. I don't care who you are. Unless you own a company, you're a venture capitalist, you know, a hedge fund manager. Kerr has a pretty darn good job. I think he likes his job. And I don't see him just walking away. I don't see that. I think if Stephen Curry decides to go, then Kerr will probably step off. But, you know, yeah, that's my thoughts on the Jonathan Kuminga thing. He's ultimately going to sign that $7.9 million tender, and that's great. And he'll be a free agent next year. I think he's going to get paid. He's worth the same contract that Josh Giddey got, in my opinion. We'll talk a little Cal football as well. This Jaren Sagapol, oh my God, Sagapulatelli. That dude is money. You know how much money he's going to bring to Cal football? They don't deserve it. I'm going to have to go out there and watch this young man because he is awesome. Jaren is one of the more talented freshman quarterbacks in the country. Ironically, like Mac Jones, he had 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. So, pretty amazing. Cal takes on San Diego State in San Diego on Saturday. They haven't been 3-0 in a while. I think if they beat San Diego State, they'll probably crack the top 25. I don't think they're there yet. But what a fun team to watch. So if you're a Cal fan, you need to feel good about that. Stanford surprised the hell out of me. They beat Boston College 30-20. I didn't see the game, so I'm not going to act like I did. But good win for them. If they go 500 this year, I think that is a success. And the biggest story, obviously, is the fight between Terrence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Definitely one of the top fights in the past 10 years or so. A fight that many people thought would not happen. I picked Crawford because I just thought that his ability to counter and just be a tactician reminds me so much of Bernard Hopkins. And his humility, I love. And you can say the same thing about Canelo Alvarez as well. I mean, Canelo is a very humble guy, has been fighting forever, loves his country, loves boxing. And they went out there and put together what I thought was a really, really good fight, all things considered. I don't have to see that fight again. You know, I mean, I don't have to see it again. I think that they both had an opportunity to prove a point, and Bud Crawford proved the point. He thoroughly outboxed Canelo, and I think he showed he was a better fighter. Now, Canelo Alvarez still hits like he's throwing bricks. That dude throws some punches. Still hard throwing, ferocious type of fight. He's not a guy you want to get in the ring with too often. So I don't know if you watched the fight. I'm sure some of you have. What are your thoughts? The other winner I thought last night was Max Kellerman. The much maligned Max Kellerman, who has been taking it on the chin over the past year after he was essentially fired from First Take, even though he was still getting paid. You know, it happens. You know, there's nothing horrible about being fired. Most people are fired at some point in their lives. If you haven't, I don't know if you lived a little bit. You know, everybody's been fired. Most people I know have. But I thought Max Kellerman was in his happy place. He was totally enthralled. His ability to show ad hoc ability by asking interesting questions and just being in the moment. I thought he was in the right place at the right time. And his presence, kind of like Buffer, he adds to the aura of the event. And I kind of get Stephen A. sometimes when he was in a situation where he was, you know, debating topics. I don't think that he should have been treated the way that he was. But I can understand Stephen A. wanting to work with somebody else. I get it. It's okay. But Max Kellerman is really, really talented, specifically when it comes to boxing. I'm glad that he got another opportunity to showcase his ability. And I thought he was one of the winners last night. The biggest winner was Bud Crawford. But I thought Max Kellerman did a really, really nice job. At some point, I'm going to not have a discussion about Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to mention it because there's some intersections between Charlie Kirk and sports, and I'll mention what those are. I'm also going to give you a movie review as well. My name is Frank Red. If you're listening for the first time, this is the In the Dungeon Show. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button and subscribe to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a shot. I really appreciate it. Let's get the show started. I want to go out and talk to the great Vicky. Put my glasses on so I can read the comments. Vicky says, "Hi, Frank. How are you? I'm sad about the Valkyries, but the dream might be coming to an end next year. 49ers did okay today. The defense came to play at the end when it counted. Yes, they did. You know what that's called, Vicky? Coaching. It's called coaching. That's what it is." Andrew the Ghost, thoughts on Breonna Stewart knee injury? I'm hoping that it's not that bad. Yeah, man, it's tough. Anytime any player goes airborne, I don't care who they are, and you come down in a tight space, if there's any wiggle to that knee or to that leg, there's tremendous amount of trepidation and pause because it doesn't take a lot to injure a player. So I'm hoping Breonna can come back. It would suck if she can't, excuse me. But yeah, I saw the play. I didn't like it. I feel sorry for her, and I feel sorry for my Liberty as well. So tough break. But I'm a person that I don't really trip off injuries. Injuries are a part of sports. It's not anybody's fault. 9 times out of 10, people get hurt, and hopefully she's not hurt that bad. Vicky says, what do you think about the NCAA basketball cheating scandal? 3 kids so far, 6 schools might be included, not just the 3 kids from Fresno State. Stupid. This is what I think, Vicky. I think that colleges recruit basketball players, not people with the highest character in the world. All right? Colleges, when they recruit coaches, they can say what they want to say. They don't always recruit people who have exemplary character. Now, I don't know if these young men have been proven guilty. Maybe some of them have. I don't know the depth of what has been found. I know they've been accused, and maybe it's already been proven that they have been guilty, that they are guilty. I don't know. But I look at, that's a character deal, right? Now, in the same breath, professional sports and college sports has got in bed, lockstep with these betting entities. And again, I don't know what someone's situation is that would entice them to do something that they should not do, which is let down your university, let down your teammates. But that is a character thing, It's wrong, but I don't put all of the blame solely on these players. I think that they are responsible for their actions. But if you are a university, an NCAA entity, even professional sports, you have to know at some point this is a possibility. The NBA has had multiple investigations already about players who are millionaires, who they thought had allegedly engaged in some shadiness around gambling. Now, fortunately, to the best of my knowledge, or publicly, no one has been found guilty, but people are being investigated. This was David Stern's worst nightmare, and literally he fought it until he passed, till he was no longer here. He's always had trepidation about professional sports and gambling, and when he passed, the floodgates opened. So I would never do it. I would never do it. But I love my teammates. I never want to let my mom down. It is against my character. But everybody's character is not the same. So I don't think this is going away. I think we're going to see more and more of this, unfortunately. Andrew the Goat says, Patriots finally beat the Dolphins in Miami and end the streak. Yeah, they're going to be naturally more competitive because they got a more competitive coach. Vrabel has won 3 titles. They got a great offensive coordinator now. So they're going to be held to a higher standard. What that means is if you are a team like Miami that theoretically is better, but you don't show up ready to play, you're going to lose. The same thing can be said about the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Now, that was, one of the gaffes of the century. He's a young player, doesn't even know the rules. Now, rules change every year, but you need to know the rules. Seattle, under their new head coach, they're going to come to play every week. You got to beat them like the 49ers did last week. If you don't show up and you let teams hang around that come out and play hard, they can beat you. The 49ers' new kicker did well, better than Moody. Yeah, what's his name? Pintero? Yeah, he did great. And but Vicky, did you laugh when he missed their extra point? Talk about irony, right? And I've said this about Jake Moody. Jake Moody's on the practice squad now for Chicago. He's going to find a home. He's going to find a home, and he's going to do probably pretty well. But it was time for him to go. I mean, he was going to start like a brawl in the locker room because these games are for real. These players are literally putting their lives on the line. This guy is on the sideline, sharpening his nails, chewing gum, doing whatever kickers do. I don't know what they do. And wins and losses are dependent upon you making a fundamental kick. You don't want to be that guy in the locker room. My man Keith says, what's up, Frank? Great game in the Big Easy. The Niners defense was the worst in the fourth quarter last year. This year we are closing games, and Mac Jones balled out. I thought, good for us and him. Yes, sir. Robert Saleh, dude. Robert Saleh is the biggest free agent that the 49ers acquired in the offseason. If he's not the highest paid defensive coordinator, he should be. He should be. Remember how stressed out Kyle Shanahan was last year? Remember how everybody questioned whether or not he could ever call a play again? He looked pretty comfortable calling the plays right now, doesn't he? Even though all of the narrative that came out of 49ers camp was Kubiak was going to be calling the plays. It doesn't look like it. It looks like Shanahan is calling the plays and doing something that he loves to do and something he can do really, really well. So, yeah, it must take a load of bricks off of his shoulders to know that he doesn't have to worry about the defense. The defense is rock solid, particularly the front seven. The back four is kind of leaky. They don't have a shutdown corner. They don't. They got good players. They got players who are running to the football, but they don't have a shutdown corner. And that's okay. That's okay. When you put in consistent pressure on the quarterback and you got ball-hawking linebackers like they do, Fred Warner, mentor, the rookie's going to get on the floor. I'm get on the field at some point. They look good. They did. And you would expect them to beat Arizona at Levi next week. I think everybody would be disappointed if that did not happen. Keith says, Crawford was amazing. Great boxer. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are much more of a boxing aficionado than I am. I show up for all the big fights. But I can't say that I'm an avid boxing fan. I don't. I'm not. And the reason being is because I don't like how boxers are treated. To see people get the snot knocked out of them. I feel the same way about the UFC. I mean, I show up for the big fights. I respect boxing. I know it more than I do UFC. But I'm really concerned about boxers and UFC fighters winning in the end. Holly Hunt, what's her name? Holly Holmes, the really talented female UFC boxer. There was some news this week about her dealing with some financial strife, and Dana White came out and said that allegedly her people, her handlers, turned down a contract that he had offered her that would have pretty much made her set her up for life financially. That's sad. That's really sad. And there's so many cases of boxing like that. Looking at boxing for what it is, that was an awesome fight last night. And I'm a big Bernard Hopkins guy. So Bud Crawford reminds me of Bernard Hopkins in a lot of ways. Very tactical, tremendous heart and courage and just unafraid, man. He got it done, man. Good for him. And there's a sense of humility. I mean, I don't know if Bernard Hopkins walked around like that with that level of humility. I think he was gracious. But Bud Crawford is just a gentleman until he gets you in that ring. He's as nasty as anybody once you get inside. Niners defense is only going to get better with all of the rookies getting experience. I agree. There's been a lot of talk, Keys, about over the past couple of years how the 49ers have missed in the draft. The 49ers must have, 5 or 6 rookies that made the team. Most of their draft picks made the team, and they're actually playing. So that's a good thing. Hopefully their stellar play will sustain itself for years to come, but so far so good. One of the things that I enjoyed watching today was Jawan Jennings. I think the 49ers accomplished what they wanted to do, which is hold the rope and let the players understand that any and everybody can't come in and demand more money when they're under contract. However, they gave Jawan Jennings an opportunity to make $3 million more, which is appropriate to me. And whatever calf injury he had is gone away, right? Look, he's doing pretty darn good. And, there were people on this show telling me that he's not the number one receiver. I'm like, come on, man. Really? He is the number one receiver, and it's good to have that debate about Ricky Pearsall because he's balling. Why not have all these guys playing well? Kendrick Bourne came in and got a catch. So what we thought was a weakness, we're looking at the 49ers receiving core now as a strength. So, yeah, I like what's going on right now with the 49ers. TG, what's up? He says, Big Frank. What's up, brother? Yes. Hands down the best show of the week. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Oh, man. Was that Juiced? He said Jake Moody's soul is going to haunt us. I hope not. I would love to get the pronunciation of this. I want to get this right. Is this Juice Eggs? Damn, man. I wish I could hear your voice. My bad. I'm going to call you Juiced. Is that okay? All right. D'Amico Ryan is going to get fired. And we are going to bring him back and build another 2019 defense. Now, he's going to be around. He got a quarterback, so he's going to be okay. Funny joke, though. Keith says, Frank, while I was watching Tennessee versus Alabama, I heard Tennessee quarterback was from Antioch and played at CCSF. I'm rooting for Cal and Tennessee college football. Yeah, I don't have his name right in front of me now, but yeah, I mean, he went to now he might have been living in Antioch because they had housing. I don't know. He played at City College in San Francisco, but I assume maybe from Antioch. Yeah, I did know that. That was a nice vignette that ESPN did on him, and that's why I love sports, man. That's why I love sports, and it's so real. It's so real. Here's a guy who literally was looking for a school, did not even have a scholarship out of JUCO. Appalachian State was his first college. Can you imagine that? He transferred from City College, I guess, to Diablo Valley. I'm not quite sure what. He went to another junior college. What a journey. And now he's playing at Tennessee, which is essentially like a pro team, 103,000 fans every week. That's crazy. Vicky says, I love watching Sugar Ray box. Yeah. All of those guys I respected, Vicky, but I'm going to say, Vicky, do you think he beat Hagler? I don't think he did. I don't think he beat Hagler. I don't. Marvelous, Marvin Hagler. There you go. What a fighter. That dude was awesome. All of the boxers from that era all had different personalities and different styles. You guys remember Aaron Pryor? That dude was a Tasmanian devil in the ring. He was either going to knock somebody out or he was going to get knocked out. But if you came to see him fight, he was going to fight. Tommy Hearns also. Tommy Hearns knocked out so many people, and he got knocked out also. Everybody from that era, the 80s, 90s, oh my God. Amazing time for boxing. Frantic Rage says Duran and Hearns. That was awesome. That was a golden age of boxing. I mean, if you are a relatively young person now, you have no frame of reference unless you watch videos or your parents or somebody told you about it, because you come up during an era of the UFC, which is arguably, unless you're talking about a top tier fight like last night, I haven't seen a UFC fight that had 70,000 people. I haven't seen that. Maybe I'm wrong. But they draw, and they draw all over the world. You talk about an incredible business that they have right now. But I was amazed that boxing, once again, was able to ascend to the top of the conversation, to be the most important entity in sports at that particular moment. We don't have those moments a lot. Bud Hopkins versus, Canelo Alvarez. Those moments are not happening a lot. They really aren't. Let me ask you all a question. Those who might follow the UFC pretty closely, with John Jones, Bones Jones being exonerated essentially, do you think he'll ever fight again? Because I think there's something kind of missing there. Nobody's ever beat him. But there's been some talk about how he's leaving this up and coming guy. I don't know his name. I don't know. I know who he is, but I don't know his name. Do you think John Jones will ever fight again in the UFC? Francie Ray says, and of course, Tyson. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's only one boxer in history to me that can match Tyson's popularity, and that's Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was more popular, but I mean, think about this. There's been no other boxer in our lifetimes that has consistently been in the consciousness of not only boxing fans, but I would say sports fans, like Mike Tyson has. And I think the reason being is because he's so complicated. I mean, I hear people telling incredible stories about Mike Tyson, and there are many stories out there that doesn't make you feel good. So he's an interesting person, and he and Muhammad Ali, I think, are the most popular boxers that I can recall in my lifetime. Ray Leonard obviously is very popular and very successful as well. So. Anything in the NFL that has caught your attention? One of the stories that I want to talk about this week is the media, right? The media is so strong. And I mean, this kid, Dart, he's going to get so many opportunities to be the guy in New York, right? Well, if you listen to the media, you know, I'm talking television shows, radio, podcasts, this and that. They would have started this guy after a couple of preseason games. You make the investment in Russell Wilson, a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback, and you're going to replace him with a rookie who's had a couple of good preseason games? That's cold-blooded, but that's how we work in this society. So I was happy that Russell was able to do what he does, you know, played his tail off. And unfortunately, I think there was a misread there at the end. But Russell Wilson showed that he can still play football and actually play well. So I was happy for him. I don't think he's going to last the whole season because I don't think the Giants can be very good. And I think Daboll is going to be able to save his job by putting Jackson Dart out there. Is it Jason Dart or Jackson Dart? And it's ultimately going to happen. But I'm glad that Daboll stayed with Russell and Russell went out and had some success. You guys know I'm a Dak guy. I love Dak Prescott as a football player. And he might never win a Super Bowl. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I'm a Dak fan. So I'm happy that they got the win. I am. So Glendocious says, if the money is right, John Jones will fight. Yeah, that's his name. Aspinall, right? Aspinall. Yeah. I mean, think about it. How much money would both of those guys get? I mean, John Jones is not stepping in the ring for less than $25 million. He might get more than that. He could get $50 million. Aspinall, I mean, he would fight for $25 million. That'd be the biggest payday he's ever had. Fans want that fight. Fans want that fight. So, if both guys want to fight, I would love to see that happen. Because I don't think John Jones has really been challenged. I don't think he has. You know? And think about this. If you're going to fight, if you're going to come to the end of your career, imagine fighting the best up-and-coming fighter in the industry at your weight class, beating that person, and then saying, you know what, I'm done. If you don't do that, people are always going to think, what if? Yeah, nobody beat you, but you didn't beat this guy who you were scheduled to fight. So I would like to see it if his heart is in it. If he really doesn't want to fight, then don't do it. But if he wants to fight and he's going to be compensated, let's get it on. Vicky says, Underwood from Michigan has already made $2 million from college money. By the time he graduates, they're saying he might have $10 million saved from college money. Hey, I love it. I have no problem with it. Vicky, think about this for a second. Have you seen that stadium? Like Tennessee, what do they call it? The Big House? Is that the Big House in Michigan? 100,000 people. Penn State, 100,000 people. I mean, what is a scholarship to Michigan? Probably around $50K. You know, top $50,000 a year, which is nothing to sneeze at. But can you imagine the amount of money that this guy generates? I don't miss any money, but I was probably born at the wrong time. I might have been able to make a couple of dollars. Not a whole lot, but I might have been able to make a couple of dollars. Think about a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan playing college in this era. Forget it. I'm happy for these players. I hope they have good financial advisors. That's my thing. I hope they have good financial advisors because everybody's not going to make it at the professional level, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I look at Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel is always going to be Johnny Manziel. He's always going to be remembered for being a Heisman Trophy winner and the Texas A&M quarterback that beat Alabama. As years pass, and I didn't necessarily believe this at first, but as years pass, Cam Newton's resume is going to look better and better, particularly if Cam continues to stay in the public eye. His resume is going to look better and better over time. Keith says Cowgirls got lucky today. Jerry Jones' prayers got answered. They still will miss the playoffs. You think so? I mean, that receiving core is, Pickens, Lamb. Come on. Come on, Keith. And Dak, and the tight end, and they found a running back. Defensively, I think that they leave a lot to be desired. But offensively, they're going to put some points up. So it's going to be interesting to see how Dallas winds up this year. That being said, did you even notice the guy on Green Bay they got, the pass rusher? Michael Parsons would have helped that team even more. But, you could logically draw the conclusion that if they paid Parsons, they might not have been able to extend 2 or 3 guys that they've given a lot of money to. I don't know if that's, to save face, if these moves are really good. I have no idea. But Jerry's going to spin it that way. The Colts with Daniel Jones are looking good. I'm not surprised by that. I think Daniel Jones caught a bad rap in New York. He's kind of a quiet dookie, didn't really have a real dynamic personality, kind of a smart guy, kept to himself and didn't want to cause any waves. And he took a lot of heat in New York that really wasn't necessarily his fault. The organization decided to pay him first instead of their best player, which is Barkley, Keyshawn Barkley. That's their fault. And can you imagine if he had Barkley consistently? So I think Daniel Jones is, if you got 32 teams in the NFL, what is he, between 20 and 25? That's what he is. If you put Daniel Jones on, the 49ers, they're going to win football games. He's a talented guy. He's not top tier. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's not one of those guys, but he's a talented guy. Don't make mistakes and play fundamental football. You can beat a lot of teams. You really can. And you can lose to a lot of teams as well. I wasn't surprised that when Joe Burrow went out, Browning was able to lead the Bengals to victory. Browning has done it. This dude can play football. Good player. All right. Charlie Kirk. Most of my time is spent watching sports, talking about sports, writing songs, listening to music, and I do a lot of financial stuff online. Like I like to watch financial shows. I like to watch stuff about other planets. But the banter between right wing and liberals, I don't really get into that stuff. It doesn't interest me at all. It doesn't. I did not even know Charlie Kirk. I did not know him. Obviously, like everybody, once we heard about what happened, he became front and center in front of our minds. And what happened to him, it's horrible. You know, no one should lose their life for what their beliefs are. I don't believe that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And it got me thinking that I have really close friends that fundamentally have different views than I have about a lot of things. One of the things about our society now, and this is the most troubling point since I've been alive, is that I think most people align themselves with folks who have similar views about sports and life. That's a little scary. It really is. So I wanted to get that out there. I mean, because when I started reading stuff and watching quotes and having people literally show zero empathy for this guy, that kind of struck me a little bit, because I don't have that same type of vitriol. I don't. Especially when you consider that he's just talking. That's all he did. He had some views that were different from mine. Many of them. But one thing he said that has an intersection with sports is he said that it's normal in the Black community for essentially men to pregnate women and then leave and not stay with the woman and allow the woman to raise the kids by herself. And he thinks he thought that was the reason why there were so many issues in the Black community, i.e. poverty, gun violence, so on and so forth. And I don't believe that. Being the product of a teenage mother, not having a father myself, I'm not going to say unequivocally that having two parents in a household guarantees that kids will be in the best position to have success later on in life. I don't believe that, because I experienced it. First of all, the biggest challenges in underserved communities, I can only speak about the Black community, is a lack of resources. A lack of resources, and to a certain extent, I think a lack of educational opportunities beyond high school. There's so many times when you talk to college graduates, Black college graduates, young men, young women, however you project yourself, that they're the first person to graduate from college in their families. It's very difficult. And I think economics is more of a hardship than a man not being in the household. Do you suffer? I think not having that male influence in the house. Yeah, you do. I think you definitely do. I think best case scenario is to have two great parents. I'm not debating that. But it's not normalized to impregnate someone and then leave, and that's normal. That's not normal. It's strife. It's a lack of economic resources, and that usually causes problems in a relationship. I also think that some men who leave, they leave because they don't feel that they can honor that commitment. That wouldn't be me. I can't speak for everybody, but I think that is something there. But I think that emotionally, they never forget that child that they created, whether or not they take care of them or not. They never forget. And I think if they had the resources, I think that they would be there. More of them would be there. So having lived that experience, I would never, ever discount a woman's impact to raise children successfully, if she has a man or not, because I lived it. My mother worked 2 jobs. So to just kind of make that point based off statistics, I think you have to have more experience. I think those words can be very, very hurtful. But yeah, that was the intersection that I had, because growing up in a really tough environment, essentially with one parent, my mother still held it down. And even though I didn't have a dad, I had excellent morals. I still wanted to accomplish things in life. I never thought that because I didn't have something, it was okay for me to take somebody else's stuff, to steal from someone. No, none of that. So I think he had some things wrong. It's unfortunate that he wasn't in a situation where he could have a conversation with someone who could counter his point of view peacefully, because he's no longer here. But the fact that he lost his life simply because he had these, he had some views that a lot of people didn't agree with, I think it's horrible. I really do. Will it get better? I don't know if it's going to get better. I don't know. King says, the Vikings are looking dumb letting Donald go. McCarthy is not that good. It's not as good. It's going to take him some time to develop. You watched him in Michigan. He became a solid college quarterback. I think he was probably a little overrated. They drafted number 11th overall. He could have very easily gone in the second round. But he was a very likable kid. They love his character. He's well-spoken. And he's a talented guy. But as you said, and as we saw tonight, he's not a finished product. He's not. It's going to take him some time. They didn't want to pay Sam Darnold. That's why he's no longer there. They didn't want to pay him. Simple as that. Glendosha says, black people could have all the resources in the world, but if you don't know how to control it, it will be gone in one generation. The same lotto winners often squander their fortunes. Yeah, you're right, but I'm going on the premise that all of the work has already been done, Glendosha. Anybody can squander money. The smartest people in the world, unfortunately, lose fortunes every day. So I'm talking about women, black women, in tough situations, having the amount of resources that they need to take care of their families, i.e., live in a community where it's not tremendous crime. Being able to put their kids in extracurricular activities, in decent schools. I'm saying everything needs to be in place. And if you have a man there, a dad, then that's great. But my point is, Charlie Kirk was making the point that the reason why you have this despair is because a man is not there. I fundamentally disagree with that. I think that the challenges in a lot of black communities is a lack of resources. Now, you can have resources and not have education and not have a strong moral base, and you're absolutely right. The money's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. But I watch and I listen to Dave Ramsey, right? Love Dave Ramsey. And have you listened to Dave Ramsey? Do you know how many people call up who have like $800,000, $1 million? And you would think Dave Ramsey would want to jump through the microphone and slap him. because they're so aloof and they're in such financial strife. So my point, Glendocious, is money without morals and education, it won't help you. You're right, you'll lose that. But you can establish a strong moral foundation with one or two parents, particularly in the Black community. Black women are incredible. They really are. But you got to do it, though. It's a lot of work. No one should have to work that hard. If you have two parents, there's a good chance that things are going to work out. However, there's some abuse that happens also. And, I reflect on my own experience, and I won't get real deep on that. But I had a stepfather at some point who was not really a dad to me. And, I probably would have been better off if I'd had just my mom throughout my upbringing. Things worked out well for me, but there's a lot of strife, man. It's a pretty complicated deal. But I think morals and lack of resources are the biggest challenges that the Black community has, particularly with women raising children. TG says, Frank, you are the man, taking a high road here about some of Charlie's views in life. Coming from a white man here to salute. You are the man. I'm gonna say this. My journey has been so great. I've had so many people help me who don't look like me. To what he was saying was just words, man. I mean, hurtful. And I get it. I understand how people were hurt. I mean, I'm not even going to repeat some of the things that he said. But I don't think anybody should lose their life because, they're saying stuff that I disagree with. What's more, I mean, he had a lot of supporters. He had a lot of people who really believed what he said. So, yeah. And I generally, I don't really get down in the mud, man. I don't do that. That's not who I am. Mendoza says, I believe knowledge, immunity, and accountability is the most important thing to help our community grow. Knowledge meaning education. I think you mean that. Community meaning a group of folks who are in collaboration to help support each other. And accountability is you honoring things that you're doing well and maybe things that you don't do well. That's a great statement, Glendocious. I totally agree with that. And I tell you what, my coaches were my de facto male father figures. They were not my fathers, but they held me accountable. And it's ingrained in me to be accountable. And a lot of that comes from sports. So I'm a big advocate of sports. I really am, man. I feel sorry for kids that, they don't want the college experience. Maybe with the NIL, maybe they'll stay longer or they'll rethink the benefits of having a quality education. But going to college was a valuable part of my development. Not simply because of what took place in the classroom, because I had to humble myself. I had to be humble. I had to be accountable. He says that Vikings game was horrible. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't good. Did you like what Mikael Williams did today? I thought he was a beast. Yeah, I did. I'm going to tell you why. Because I played defensive end. And I was kind of an edge rusher. And being a pass rusher is really complicated. particularly at the professional level, when you're trying to get by guys who weigh 320, 330. You have to get your techniques down. You know, the hand movements and when you get your hand movement down, those skills, and you can bend, like we saw Huff today do, you're going to make a lot of money. Even a guy like Clowney in his 12th, 13th year, he sits on his couch and every year somebody calls him and say, listen, you ready to play football? Because from a technical standpoint, he can rush the quarterback. He has some unique skills. Now, what I saw from Mikael Williams today was I saw a guy who can bull rush, right? I saw several times in which he literally just took the shoulder pads of the New Orleans offensive lineman and pushed him into the chest of their quarterback. That's very valuable. It really is. So what I saw from Mikael Williams was a motor today. You know, I saw a guy who's strong, who can get off the ball and has a motor. And I think over time, he's going to develop the techniques that he needs to be a very good pass rusher. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell looked like he was having some serious problems. The Vikings coach looked helpless with McCarthy out there. Yeah, he did. It's going to take some time. I agree with your take for the most part. My biggest issue with Charlie's take is that he leaves out the nuances. For example, the government funding the Panama War by selling cocaine in our streets. Yeah. I mean, listen, dude. I mean, he's no longer here. You know that as a person who I assume is informed on some of the things that he was talking about, you know better. You know better. What I saw online was somebody who was well-read, taking advantage in many cases of someone who could not recite, the facts, the written facts, if you will, of what they were talking about. And I didn't like that. I mean, it felt like a bully match in some respects, although there were some kids at Harvard who was getting with him, who was reading the same books, the same scriptures that he was reading. And that was kind of entertaining, actually. It was kind of entertaining. That's why when I think of somebody losing their life, I mean, that sucks. That really does to me. But it wasn't a fair fight when he was up there, debating people. But I give those individuals a lot of courage for even going up there. My whole thing is, you're talking about something that you have not experienced yourself. Bottom line, you can talk about statistics. I can talk about statistics until I'm blue in the face. But having had some experience is vital. It really is. Now, having that experience does not mean that you can articulate your knowledge, but having that experience along with some facts makes a better conversation. Vicky says, I did not agree with a lot of what Charles said, but he did not deserve to get shot. A lot of what he said was hurtful. Absolutely. I agree with you. Thoroughly agree with you. Privatizing prisons. Yeah, I know. Mandated sentences and drug law and incentivizing welfare, keeping men out of the home, etc. This is a long, deep topic. Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. It is. The Bills are looking good. Now they have to win that playoff game to get them to the Super Bowl. You know what's interesting about that, Vicky, is because remember in the preseason when they had to go through the negotiations with James Cook? I mean, James Cook he looks like he's one of the best running backs in all of football. And this dude had to really, stand his ground just to get a check. When Buffalo knew all along what he was worth, and they ultimately paid him. But I don't like to see that. I guess it's business. I guess when you're negotiating, your goal is to try, to beat the other side. Um, I love it when I see sides acknowledge each other's value, and just pay the guy because they need him. And yes, the Bills are looking good. Key says D Winters is a blur out there. Hopefully, it's a breakout season. It looks like it. Although, I thought that anybody who plays alongside Fred Warner is going to get better. If you have the talent and you play with Fred Warner, you're going to get better because he's a coach on the field. Think about Dre Greenwald. He was outstanding, and he developed his own personality, his own role on the team. He was outstanding. But playing with a guy like Fred Warner and practicing with him, I don't know how you can't get better. I thought the Niners O-line played better when the rookie Colby went in. A lot of people said that. I was on Larry Kruger's post-game show this afternoon. Had maybe over 3,000 people. And they were saying that. I don't know enough about the offensive line to evaluate them, but he clearly did a good job because the offensive line did a good job. And there's always a lot of conversation leading up to the season about how bad the 49ers offensive linemen are. And they're proving that they're not that bad. Even though they don't draft offensive linemen in the first round, most of the time they put together a unit that does a pretty good job. So good for them. Hopefully it will continue, and maybe they'll have another diamond in the rough in this Kobe kick. All right. I'm usually pretty good with movies. This week, I was not so good. I saw a movie called The Long Walk. I'm sure some of you might have heard of it, seen a preview. It stars a really talented young actor. A couple of cats, actually. Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, Cooper Hoffman, is in it. He made his debut in Thomas Patrick Anderson's movie, Lucrece Pizza. He was really good in that, and he is somebody who you want to keep your eyes on because Cooper Hoffman is a really talented actor. This movie really, the plot was simple. I think even because of the events that's happening in society, I was a little like, wow, I don't want to really watch this now. But The Long Walk also starred a guy by the name of David Johnson, who is in the HBO show Industry, which takes place in London, and it kind of shows the inner workings of a financial institution with a bunch of young people doing cocaine and some other stuff. He's in it. He's a good actor. But The Long Walk, not a great movie. Not horrible, but not a great movie. If you don't go see that and you watch it on video or some other app, then I think you'll be fine with that. That was unfortunate for me. But I was on the hot streak. So my name is Frank Red. This is In the Dungeon Show. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Wow. Okay, let's go ahead and talk this. Frantic Rage says, tough movie. I thought it was good. Frantic Rage is my movie brother. And I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was horrible. But, I mean, the premise and the plot, Frantic, come on, right? I mean, it wasn't a whole lot there. It really wasn't. There were a couple of wrinkles at the end that kind of go, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming necessarily. But I think there's some great movies coming on the horizon that will make me feel good that I spent my money. But why did you like it, Frankie Ray? Tell me, why did you like the movie? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Vicky says, I want to see the movie called The Senior. It is about an old guy going back to college to play football. Interesting premise. Ignore Ramsey and buy some stock and crypto. Haha. More context, Gondocious. Ignore Ramsey? Oh, I'm sorry. You said ignore. Okay. Ignore Ramsey and buy some stock and crypto. I do my own research. I'm in the stock market, but I don't give advice. But I listen to people talk, and I like Ramsey. I do. I don't know if he's. I mean, he actually did say one thing that I kind of follow, which is if you got credit cards, pay off the least, the lowest balance first, and work up to the largest balance. I actually do that. But I generally don't follow him for financial advice. But I love to hear him talk about finance. I love stocks. I love that industry, and I love doing the research. It's kind of like sports in a lot of ways. And I've done okay. I've done all right. Key says they got lucky. Okay. All right. So are you drinking the 49er Kool-Aid, or do you think they're definitely a playoff team, or are you still kind of hanging on the periphery, waiting for them to do something spectacular, or can you look at them after a couple of games and feel pretty confident that they're on the way back? I mean, there are teams that I think are clearly better. I mean, Green Bay to me looks like the best team. I think Philly's better. But, we're talking about the 49ers who did not make the playoffs last year. So from that standpoint, I think that they have righted the ship. And even after 2 games, even though we can't look into the future to see if someone beyond Purdy is going to get hurt that could really change the outlook of the team. But as they are currently constituted, I like this team. I think they're definitely a playoff team. As I said earlier, I think the biggest acquisition that they have made in the offseason is actually not a player. I think it's Robert Saleh. I think the synergy between he and Shanahan is very calming and balanced, and it allows both entities to do their jobs appropriately. I think obviously signing Mac Jones was a big get. And he's been playing well since he got here, so I'm not surprised that he's playing well. Not at all. I think even when he came out in the draft, Shanahan and Lynch were high on him. So, not surprised. This sucks pretty bad. Burrow looks like he's, done for the year? Really? With his toe injury? Well, they said 3 months. I actually wasn't thinking about 3 months and what that meant for the season. Wow. That would really be terrible. It'd be good for Pittsburgh, but that would be terrible. Talk about snake bit. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot less than that. Glenn Doches. Dave Ramsey does mutual funds only. If you're not buying NVIDIA, Meta, etc., you're missing out. Look into Bitcoin. Ethereum and Chainlink, these are all cryptos. You are changing the world as we speak. If I was gonna get into Bitcoin, I guess you can buy partials. I'm into semiconductors. I mean, I tell you where I got money. I got money in Broadcom. And I put money in Broadcom over a year ago. And like I said, I do my own research. I listen to a lot of people. But as you know, I can tell that you know what you're doing. I'm winning with Broadcom. You know that. I'm doing okay. I don't have NVIDIA. No particular reason. I wanted to be a little different, so I got in there with Broadcom. And that's been a good deal for me. So we are literally, think about this, y'all. We are literally, a couple of weeks from the start of NBA training camps. We don't know what the outcome of this Clipper stuff is going to be. I don't know. I got to think that the Clippers will succumb to some type of fine and they'll lose some draft picks. And I think business will continue as usual, as normal. But I think that there will be some consequences levied. Deniability is not going to be enough. Otherwise, everybody would do it. So I think they'll have to pay a cost. To what extent, I don't know. But anything outrageous around him losing the team, no, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, we're on the cusp of the start of NBA training camps. I'm excited about that. This is literally the best time of the sports season for me. And yeah, I mean, I saw something today that had the Warriors maybe finishing 4 or 5. This Kuminga thing needs to be worked out some way or the other. I can see a scenario where, I mean, they really can't do anything. If he signs a tender, he's going to be here, or they'll tell him to go home. But they can't trade him. Cannot trade him. He's not going to sign a 2-year, $45 million deal with a team out. He's not saying. I mean, he's not signing that, especially with Josh Giddey getting $100 million. So I know Golden State wasn't real happy when Josh Giddey got his contract offer. They wasn't happy about that. All right. You got a couple of games tomorrow night. The Raiders going to play. I'll be looking at that one. The Valkaries on Wednesday come on home and take on the Minnesota Lynx. I want to see them win a game. I would love to see them win a game. I think they can win a game. Can they win a series against Minnesota? Once you win one, anything can happen. So I want to see them win a game specifically on their home court. There have been so many wonderful stories that have come out of the inaugural season of the Golden State Valkaries that none of us could have imagined. Love this team. And the sad part about the Valkaries is there's only going to be about 7, I said 6, maybe there'll be 7 players come back next year, but it's not going to be a lot of players. The league is really young. You're going to see some Valkaries players on some other teams. And that's kind of disappointing because clearly the Bay Area, the Valkaries organization is one of the best already in the league. And to see them not be a part of that, I don't dig that. The other take I got is Angel Reese. No way she will be on Chicago next year. She's going to be traded. She needs to go to a veteran team. And she needs to also take a step back and look at the big picture, because unless you are helping a team win, you're not that important, particularly in a league that has 13 teams. Next year, they'll have 15. They want teams that's going to go out and represent communities to put butts in seats. That's success for the WNBA. Not necessarily how many games you win. Everybody wants to win. But you see Indiana, you see what Indiana did? They shut Caitlin Clark down. Why? Because they're still making money. So they don't need her to do that. So they can really focus on what they think is best for her. And maybe she had some input on not playing. But this league is looking for stability and harmony. And they don't have that in Chicago. I don't know how the coach kept his job. I don't. I'm happy he did, but I don't know how he kept his job. And I'm going to tell you why. The Chicago Sky is not good at any aspect of the game of basketball. They have too many talented players not to be good at anything. That's coaching. That is coaching, without a doubt. Vicky says, and the Warriors have not done anything. Well, just like Magic, Vicky, when it's all said and done, all of a sudden Al Horford's going to appear and DeAnthony Milton is going to appear. Gary Payton III is going to appear. So they kind of have their team. Is it annoying for fans? I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's annoying. But they're going to have a team that can compete. They are. They are. If he signs, the 10 to JK will be the 15th man. Wow. You might be right. I don't know. I don't even want to think about that because that means that it's personal to me. It's not about winning. It's personal. If he can't get off the bench on that team, it's personal. The Bears got embarrassed today, 52 points. Keys, let me say this. And I don't have to be careful. I just need to really explain myself very well. And I'm only going to have a take on Chicago because you brought them up. Caleb Williams, right? Caleb Williams. He's been skittish, right? Now, I'm going to say this. And this has nothing to do with how manly you are, how good you are, none of that stuff. But when you are the leader of the team, right? When you are the leader of the team, particularly a football team, football teams at the professional level are more diverse than any other sports entity that we know of in America. In camp, they got 80 plus guys. On the active roster, where they have 53 and practice squad people, there's a lot of guys that come from a lot of different places with various levels of education, cultural backgrounds, so on and so forth. They all identify with one thing: winning. Winning. And with Caleb, with like his fingernails, that's not me. I'm not going to paint my fingernails, right? But is there anything wrong with him painting his fingernails? No, it's not. Particularly when you are playing really well. He's not playing really well. So it can become an issue for some people on his team that only has one view of what leadership is. We can talk about how far we've come as a society. We've come a long way. But inside those locker rooms, it's tough in those locker rooms. Those locker rooms have not changed that much compared to how much society is evolving. Dennis Rodman painted his nails 20 some odd years ago. Did anybody care? No. Nobody cared about Rodman wearing a dress. Nobody cared about him painting his nails. Why not? Because he produced. He produced. But if you're not locked in, if you're not helping your team win, then they start thinking about a multitude of things and reasons why this is not working, or why you're not the guy, or why you're not the guy. Me personally, doesn't bother me one bit. But I can understand how it could be another thing that they question whether or not he's the guy. He's only going to have so much time. He's only going to have so much time to actually get this thing done. Because think about it. He didn't really, as talented as Caleb Williams is, he's really talented. He didn't really win in college. USC was a disaster. And yet he was still the number one pick because of his talent. That quarterback that they signed his backup, Target, I think his name is, came from a D3 school. At some point, if Caleb Williams doesn't start playing well, he's going to get a chance. This dude signed a 2-year, $10 million contract, and he was in tears. He said that his father didn't even have running water until he was like in 9th grade or something like that. This dude is hungry, and he's a good player. So I just want to see Caleb Williams understand the moment, understand the complexity of what's going on around him, because Johnson comes to Chicago like he's Wonder Boy. You know, all the success he's had, Ben Johnson in Detroit, you know, he's not going to think it's his fault that they're not winning. So, you know, I mean, a lot of guys, when they come to the league, you know, they have interesting haircuts. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But they cut their hair. They do a lot of different things to show people that they're locked in. Whether or not they are locked in, I have no idea. But on a football team where you have a lot of guys and coming from a lot of different areas, they really got to believe. They have to believe. They got to buy in. And all those things matter. They really do. Okay. That's going to be it. I'm going to do my thing and get out of here. I want to thank you all for joining me in conversation. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And once again, my condolences go out to Charlie Kirk and his family. It's okay. It's okay to have empathy for people, even if you disagree with them, even if you don't like what they say. I mean, this should not have happened. I'm concerned about society right now. I really am. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you're an individual, don't do things to help other people make their lives better. As far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right. Thank you for your time. Good night, everybody. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the show. My name is Frank Red. I want to thank you. And I will talk to you next week or sooner. Good night, everybody. Peace.